Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to Jazz After Dark. How you doing out there? Hope you're keeping your dough straight. Joining me tonight will be Comet Single Malt Indian Whiskey. I've already sampled this a little bit. It smells like anybody who's ever worked in an old offset printing company. I mean, spot on. It smells just like that there. Tastes more like an Irish whiskey, but to be maybe just a touch more spicier. It does have spice on there. Single malt Indian whiskey, Comet. I give it like a 68, it's okay, just not great. What could be great is if you are retiring early. There's a lot to think about there, right? If you're retiring early, this is one of the things that we get asked about a lot. Because inevitably, when we start doing planning, people go, wait a minute, you're uncovering stuff that makes this a little more achievable. Can we back our age down a little bit? Can we retire early? So let me give you 4 things here tonight that you definitely want to pay attention to. And then we'll give you some examples as well. Number 1, the fun games of having credit card debt is out of the way. You previously in the past 2-3 years, you could say all right, if you don't mind having it, maybe you keep it. But let me show you an example. And this stems from an actual question that I got from a client. So we're going to use these guys as our example today. And by the way, they're 38. They got a 14-year-old. Expenses, pretty minimal there. Savings, they've got a lot going. They're great savers, actually. Good income. They've got some goals there, net worth and everything. But I want you to notice credit cards. Now, this is actual numbers from clients that said, we're cool with it. And they have plenty of extra money, so it's all right, you guys are doing well. If you don't mind paying 31% interest, then have at it. I mean, I can't tell you I could tell you not to pay it, but if you want to keep it, go for it. Here's the problem. After looking deeper, I said, no, wait a minute, wait. You can't retire early if you keep making the minimum payment. And to be fair, because I'm going to share some numbers here with you that will blow your head off, they did say, we usually just make the minimum monthly payment, and then occasionally we'll put $1,000 on it or something. They don't think that's a lot of money. I say, okay, well, you can't retire early then. Watch this. If we look at your cash flows, although this is going to look rosy and pretty, you will end up broke if you continue doing just the minimum payment. So let's go to their cash flows and we'll look at their debt. Here's Louis Capital One right here and the Discover, the 2 cards in question. Because the interest rate is so high now, they do not make any progress towards the principal of their credit card. You cannot retire early if you have chunks of credit card debt. Think about this. The minimum monthly payment in most cases is about 2% of your balance. 2% a month is what you would have to pay, but the interest rate is 30%. You are not paying enough to offset your principal plus the interest. You're getting close, but no, it's not happening. So look at how weird this is. Now, these people won't do this in real life, but if they did, we go into next year with a larger credit card balance. We go into the year after that larger, assuming the rate stays the same. I hope they don't stay the same. But you see how they made no progress. They made their minimum payments. They got great credit score. Everything's good. Watch how fast they're millionaires in credit card debt by the time they're 57, 2 years after they want to retire. Again, and watch, look, this is never, $100 million, $1 billion, at these rates. That's a great example. That's many, many years down the road. But that's a great example of how ridiculous credit card rates are. So if you want to retire early, under no circumstance can we have this belief of, hey, it's $20,000, it's $40,000, whatever, I'll just keep it there. No. We need to strategize for that. And in their case, they've got cash. They don't want to part with the cash, but we're going to need to start talking about parting with the cash because there is an emergency here, and that is your credit card debt. That counts as an emergency. All right. Spend a little time on that one because those numbers shock me. Crazy. All right. Number 2, if you're going to retire early, define the living hell out of your goals, right? And I'll use this as an example. You can do it however you like, but, I'll do it like this. Okay. So you're going to retire, say, at 55. You've got your expenses figured out, your healthcare problems solved and all of that. You're going to travel more. This is an extra travel bonus amount they put there. Off to the bottom here where I'm at, I'm going to zoom out just real quick. Car. you're young, you retire young, you're going to need a car. Consider dinging your cash flows however often you buy a car. The sooner you do it, the harder it's going to make it on you. But we put every 8 years they're going to buy a car. They only have one car at the moment. These people in particular I'm talking about, not a big deal, and they don't really care much about cars. So they spend very little, about every 8 years. I argue that maybe that's a little low in this day and age, but that's fine. They put some additional spending, but that's not enough. When you look at retiring early, unless you're going to get in an RV and just park it somewhere and hope for the best, your home is going to need repairs. You're going to go through a cycle of needing a new roof. The big ticket items, we're going to need to figure that out. In addition to, in addition to all the normal stuff. So when you decide you want to retire early, fill up your goals like crazy. Itemize them, because I have clients that are, maybe they just turned 60. Clients have been retired for a while, but they retired early. And I love hearing them go, damn, you were right, man. We didn't see that coming, right? It turns out we've been sitting in here staring at each other every day, and we go out more, right? Define it, man. Do it. All right. Tip number 3. You're going to want, this is a little geeky, but you're going to want to optimize your portfolio's return, not an account, your total portfolio. Okay. And anybody can help with this. Naturally, this is marketing. I hope you remember us and Jazz Wealth and all that stuff. But anybody you work with can help you with this. Now, if I go over to, there you go. There are different accounts here. They're doing well in 401ks. They've got different types of accounts here. I'm not talking about picking the 401k and going to town on making sure that's in the best thing. I'm talking about this number right here. All the investments. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit and use our software, but if I look at everything, I can see, let's do it this way. I can see that they're very close to being optimized relative to the plan that we've come up with, minus the credit card debt, because I put it in there that they're going to pay it off because that's ridiculous. They're basically optimized. We've got minor changes to make here, very, very minor changes. They just have a lot in bonds, or what we're calling bonds for the moment. It's not exactly right. And so they're almost optimized. We could do a little better. And if you're going to retire early, it is really important that you do the best, most efficient plan you can put together. And if you don't agree with me, go ahead, retire early and see what happens. It is a lot to work through, but you can do it. I'm not trying to scare you or anything. Okay, and then the last thing is the way you withdraw your money can be a form of a return. Remember that. When you're retired, you're not putting money in. Your investments are gaining whatever they're gaining, but how you pluck the money out to survive can add alpha, right? It can be a form of a return. So in this case, we have, I just showed you a second ago, handful of accounts. Is there a strategy? Let's say they needed $50,000 in the first year. Do they take it all from one account? Do they take some from post-tax and some from this? Do they take 10% from here, 7% from here, and the rest from here? Like, what is it? There has to be an optimum way. I'm not going to probably get into whatever it is that's optimal, but let's try some things here. So right now, every software does this. It says, we just assume you're going to take evenly, pro rata, throughout your accounts. Just evenly take whatever you need, 10,000 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 there, you're done. You got all the money you need. Let's compare it to some of the ones that I've saved here. How about if we take all of our cash, taxable money, then once that's depleted, we go to tax deferred, IRAs, 401ks. Then once that's depleted, we go to our Roth. I don't know about this, but let's see what happens. Yeah, I kind of have a feeling. Okay, so that won't work. They end up with, remember, they're young, so this is a large difference here. If you're a little older, you wouldn't see such a big difference. But by doing it this way versus taking evenly, they end up with less money than they could have had. You don't want to do that if you're retiring early. Let's go taxable, then tax-free Roths, and then tax-deferred. Anything there? No, it's not as bad, but we don't want to choose that strategy. And this is so general. I'm just doing the most basic of suggestions here. All right, so it looks like taxable, then evenly doesn't work. What do we got here? Tax-deferred and... why would that be so different? Because they're so young. Okay, cool. So I would do much more than this. This is just showing an example. But the optimum strategy based on what I have available at the moment is to take from tax deferred accounts, pay the tax, then deplete their cash, then deplete the Roth. And I bet you know why. They're 55, so we're not paying the penalty. Yep, it's calculating the penalty. So we've got a healthy 401k here that we can draw from. And remember, this family is 38 now, but they want to retire at 55. So there you go. It's avoiding that penalty in there. So it makes perfect sense now to me anyways. So all that to say, we want to definitely knock out large credit cards. I'm not talking about $1,000 credit card bill that you bought something to get some points or whatever. I'm talking about the money there that, it's a substantial balance relative to your cash and it has a high interest rate. Stop it. The fun time is over with that. Number 2, defining your goals. Think about it. Why are you retiring early? You likely want to do something. I'm going to build a workshop and I'm going to start making clocks and I'm going to sell them. I don't know. I've heard it all, right? Number 3, optimize the portfolio. The sooner you do that, the better. It's a little bit tricky. Just get in there, find some software, find an advisor, call Jazz Wealth, but find a way to do that. And then the third one would be, if you're working with somebody, just have them do it. Just say, tell me the withdrawal strategy. Prove to me that will add more money and it'll be worth its weight in gold. So if you're going to retire early, hopefully this didn't scare you. You're obviously someone who takes their finances seriously, so you can handle it. I know you can. From experience, clients that want to retire early usually have a pretty good handle on their dollars. They are not goofing around, so I'm not suggesting you're doing that. But get started on that, right? You can do it. You can retire early. You can make it work. Go do the things that make you happy. And if you want us to help you with it, jazzwealth.com. If not, I hope you learned something.